Hey guys, now welcome back to another video where today the NRL season is right around the corner from now. So I thought today is finally the day is where I make my 2024 NRL Ladder Predictions. Today is the day where you guys get to find out who I think will be the minor premiers, who I think will just miss the 8, and who I think will be the wooden spooners for 2024. But anyway, guys, if any of you guys are new to the channel, then please don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you guys are new around here, and turn on post notifications as well, guys. But anyway, guys, without further ado, let's get in and get straight into the video. Starting off in 17th, and my wooden spooners for 2024, it's got to be done. I reckon it's going to be the Dragons. Now, look, don't get me wrong. Shane Flanagan can be a good coach. He's won a comp with the Sharks as a coach, and the Dragons have made a few decent signings. And I will not be surprised if the Dragons avoid the wooden spoon. I won't be surprised if the Dragons get above the bottom 4. But I just don't think they are at the level they need to be right now. So that's why I've gone with the Dragons to finish the wooden spoon. No offense. In 16th, I have gone with the West Tigers. Now, we all know that Benjamin Marshall is their new coach. And the Tigers recently sacked nearly their whole board. But it's not the off-field stuff is the problem. It's the on-field. Despite the Tigers having players like Api Kosau and Isaiah Papali'i and Jerome Roy coming in next year, is this team ready to finally improve? And I just think I've gone with the Tigers at 16th because I just think that they need a little bit more time to get things straight, and I just think that the Tigers just needs to improve on a couple little simple things, and then maybe in a couple of years' time, who knows where they could be in the future. In 15th, I have gone with the Canberra Raiders. Now, look, this team can definitely surprise me this year because I've seen it before in the past and they could do it again. But the main reason why I've gone with the Raiders at 15th is because, look, Jack Wyden is obviously a club legend. He just left to join Souths because of all this. Now, look, Jack Wyden is probably the Raiders' most important player, in my opinion. And I just think that the Raiders, they do have a lot of good youngsters, but I don't think they've got much experience. Don't get me wrong. I've seen the Raiders played many times, and they can surprise me. They can surprise anyone. But I just think that with the loss of Jack Wyden, I just have a feeling that the Raiders are going to struggle in 2024. In 14th, I have gone with the Bulldogs. Put your house on it, they say. But I don't think they're going to be putting it on their houses after the season I think they are going to have. I understand why every single Bulldogs fan are saying it's their year because of the premiership pattern in their club's history, but I just don't think this team has what it takes. I know they signed Stephen Crichton and probably nearly every single player in the comp, but see, the thing I see with the Bulldogs that I don't think they can do well, this team has got no experience, they got the lack of chemistry, and I just don't think this team will gel. I've seen it. I see it every year with them. When they signed Addo-Carr and Matt Burton, they think, oh, surely we can go well. They haven't gone well. Nothing's going well with them. That's why I think the Bulldogs are going to really struggle again this year. So, sorry Bulldogs fans, but your premiership has to wait a little bit longer. In 13th, I have gone with the Gold Coast Titans. This is a big year for them this year with their new coach, Des Hasler. He has had many good experiences when it comes to the coaching. David Fafita and Tina are both ready to have good years. But will I think the rest of the team will play out? They could. But honestly, I just think the Titans, they do whack with many things, and I just don't think the Titans are ready for success yet. At 12th, I have gone with the Redcliffe Dolphins. Now, this team can definitely surprise me this year with their new signings like Herbie Farnworth and many other good signings. And they've got Jermaine Osako, who was the top point scorer last year. The Hammer, he's been on fire lately. But the big question is, will this team gel and be successful this year? Honestly, look, I know the Dolphins are a new club and everyone has a lot of expectations for them. But I just don't really think they are ready yet. At 11th, I have gone with the Manly Seagulls. Now, everyone is saying that Manly is in for a big year this year. Personally, I think they are as well. They've signed a lot of great players like Rook Brooks. They've signed Jackson Paulo. And they have Tommy Turbo back. And look, Manly are in for a big year this year. But I've gone Manly to miss the 8 because, look, I know Turbo is very injury prone, and I do think Manly do whack with a lot of things. But honestly, if Turbo stays fit, I reckon Manly are in for a successful season. At 10th, I have gone with Parramatta. I've gone with the Eels at 10th because, look, I do think the Eels can go out there and get the job done in the games where it matters the most. It's just, look, I know most of their players are still pretty young. Like Jermaine Hopgood, he had an outbreak season last year. He could potentially play Origin this year for Queensland. Dylan Brown is still pretty young. So is Moses as well. Look, and I know Josh Hodgson was their hooker and now he is retired. But look, the Eels, I just think they lack a bit of consistency. I still think that they can have a good year. It's just, I just don't think that they can get it done on games when it matters the most. At 9th, I have gone with the Newcastle Knights. Now, last year, I was not expecting Newcastle to go on an absolute rampage and had a season like they did last year. Karen Ponga went on an absolute run of form and he carried Newcastle on his back to a semi-final and won himself the Dahlia medal. This year, I honestly have a feeling that Newcastle might go down a bit because they're missing their star winger, Dom Young, to the better team in red, white and blue. And look, I just think that Newcastle, they do lack quite a bit of consistency. So that's why I reckon I've gone with the Knights at 9th. And now it is time for our top 8 predictions. Starting off with at 8th, I have gone with the Melbourne Storm. Now, Melbourne is Melbourne. Honestly, I do think Melbourne will struggle with a few basic things this year. But the big question is, Ryan Peppenhausen. If he has a full season without no concussions or no injuries or whatever, I reckon he could go absolutely ballistic like Turbo did in 2021. He could legit carry Melbourne on his back to a premiership. But that's if everything goes well with Melbourne. But at the meantime, that's why I've gone Melbourne to finish 8th. At 7th, I have gone with the Cowboys. Now, last year, the Cowboys really did surprise me a lot. They obviously went down quite a lot. Like, I just don't know what happened there. They've lost a bit of consistency at their club. But this year, I honestly think they can turn it right back around. Because when you think about it, the Cowboys have a lot of talent. They've got Scott Drinkwater. They've got Jason Tamalolo. Like, You can name nearly every single player in that Cowboys team that legit can have a great year. And honestly, if they do things right this year, the Cowboys, I reckon they'll go right back into the top 8 where they belong. At 6, I have gone with the Cronulla Sharks. Now, I've gone with the Sharks to finish 6, just like they did last year, because of one obvious reason. They couldn't compete enough. I remembered last year when I was watching the Sharks, every time they played against a big team in the top 8, they struggled a lot. And honestly, I do think the Sharks can have a good year this year. I reckon they can have a better year this year. But I just think this team is still a bit young, and I think they still have a bit of time to develop. And once they've all developed, then I reckon in the future they could be a potential threat. At 5th, I have gone with the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Oh, sorry guys, I think I made a mistake. South Sydney Rabbitohs I meant. Sorry. But anyway, the reason why I've gone with the Rabbitohs to finish 5th, personally, I reckon they can have a lot better of a year than what they had last year when they came first place at one point halfway through, and then they just absolutely collapsed it after Origin and missed out on the 8. This year, they've got Jack Whiten coming in, and they've got Latrell Mitchell who's ready to go, Cody Walker, Cameron Murray, all of the Souths boys are ready to go. And honestly, they are potentially a team that can take down Penrith. I know I put them that low to be a premiership threat, but honestly, if things go right for them, they could potentially win the comp, and I'm worried about that because we all know I'm a big Roosters fan, and no Roosters fan wants to see that happening, but I reckon it could happen. In at 4th place, I have gone with the mighty Sydney Roosters to finish 4th. Now, I probably could have put my Chooks a lot higher, but every year when I do that, we always go to waste and we underachieve. And honestly, I've gone with the Roosters to finish 4th. Now, look, I know we've signed players like Spencer Lee and Dom Young, and they are both very good players. I'll tell you this right now. The Roosters, we have a lot of talent. It's just we don't use it very well. Like, this team has not gelled since 2020. And that's what I'm worried about. Honestly. But if this team gels as they should, the Roosters could potentially take down Penrith and compete for the premiership. And I'll tell you this right now. This is probably our last big year for the Roosters, because at the end of the year, Hargreaves will be going to Hull, Joseph Manu and Joseph Suaalii, they'll be going to play rugby union. So yeah, this team has to do well this year, otherwise in the future, it's going to get worse for us. In 3rd, I have gone with the Wars. I've gone with the New Zealand Warriors to finish 3rd in 2024. Now, last season, the Warriors surprised everyone by finishing in the top 4 and got to play in the prelims. This year, I reckon they have what it takes to do it all over again because of the back of the brilliant Sean Johnson. He was so unlucky not to win the Dalian medal this year. But this year, if he stays fit and if he stays on the field and if every single Warriors player plays well like they all did last year, I reckon the Warriors are in for a chance of finally taking the premiership back home on New Zealand soil. In 2nd, I have gone with the Brisbane Broncos. Now, this team has got so much talent across the ballpark. I can legit name nearly every single player that has a lot of talent, like Reece Walsh and Adam Reynolds and Payne Haas and all that. I reckon the Broncos can repeat what they did last year. They competed with Penrith. Sadly, they didn't get the job done on grand final day. But this year, I honestly reckon if the Broncos don't win the comp now, they probably won't be able to do it again. Like, I honestly reckon If there's a time for the Broncos to win the comp, it's this year. I reckon the Brisbane Broncos have what it takes to win the comp. And last but not least, first place, the team that I reckon will be the 2024 minor premiers. No surprise, it's the Penrith Panthers. Now look, they've lost Spencer Lee and Stephen Cotton. But honestly, this team can do no wrong. They are chasing a history-making four-peat, which has never been done before in the NRL era. Nathan Cleary, look, honestly, I'm expecting him to have possibly his best ever season. Now, look, I reckon this year's Penrith team will be based around Nathan Cleary and on how well he will go. I reckon the Panthers can sell as many players as they want, but their youth system is the best in the comp, and they can just bring up some absolute monster, like we've seen in the past before with who the Panthers have developed. And I reckon the Panthers are in for another shot of making NRL history again. So here are my final ladder predictions for 2024. I've gone the Panthers to get the minor premiers, Broncos second, Warriors third, Roosters fourth, Rabbitohs fifth, Sharks sixth, Cowboys seventh, the Storm eighth, Knights ninth, Eels 10th, Seagulls 11th, Dolphins 12th, Titans 13th, Bulldogs 14th, Raiders 15th, Tigers 16th, and Dragons 17th, and the Wooden Spooners. I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you guys are new to the channel, then please don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe if you guys are new around here. And don't forget to turn on post notifications as well, guys. But anyway, guys, thank you guys all so much for watching. And until next time, see you guys all later. Bye. Football's back, baby.